of Allah. I'm Aubrey Muhammad. I pray that everyone is well. Hempstead family and believers, welcome to my Facebook Live session. This is literally updates to future guest appearances on my Developing a Healthy Self-Image Parts 1 and 2. And one of those guests will be Psychotherapist Cherie Dortch, and the other will be massage therapist Jackie Hill. That'll be, and the subject of that will be overcoming a poor self-image into a healthy self-image through mind, body, and soul. I give folks a few minutes to come up in here. It's a beautiful day back in Eisenhower Park, and I decided to come here to because it wasn't too crowded today. There's a lot of greenery around, kills a lot of that excess noise. I was going over the audio last time, and they had the concert over there, but I'm sitting close to the same spot, and you could hardly hear it. You could hear it in the background a little. So I'm in a nice setting here, peaceful. I'm behind some memorial here, the POW one, I believe. That was that's probably to all POWs. Let me give you a shot of that real quick. Oh, well, this red back, it's reversed anyway, so you can't see it. POW missing action. That was, that's mainly Vietnam. We know that flag from. It's probably for all, So I'll give folks a minute to come up in here. And just a recap from last session was in the village of Hempstead. We need to show up about these outside developers planning to turn Hempstead into an upscale, yuppie college city. Literally a city. I was just in Long Beach yesterday. Long Beach. It's nice out there. Long Beach, you know what I'm saying? That they have the economy for that city. It's like 30,000 people. And Long Beach is bars, strips of night. They have a nightlife. They have restaurants, bars, small apartments, and they have some bigger ones, the no good Avalon. And so they can get that sales revenue because they got money coming in there. So their sales tax revenue benefits them. But sales tax revenue now in Hempstead is dull. We're being overtaxed. We're being, it's a black tax, paying other people taxes, wealthy apartment building owners. They're paying their property taxes. That doesn't make sense. You pay somebody taxes, that can never be beneficial to us who reside here. So we got to fight to stop that plan to keep a suburban development, to where we cultivate ourselves, develop ourselves, revitalize ourselves, restore ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And what does that take? Subject at hand here, developing a healthy health image. I'm going to get right into that. That was Hempstead, and met some good people yesterday. And I think next week, I try to have a guest out with me in the field, or I definitely do the live. It'll be on the Zoom, because I tried the Facebook Live, bringing the guest on. It was choppy. I got good, 4 or 5 bars there, 5G, and it's good reception until initially. It's choppy initially, but could be this park too. And that's why I keep this phone a distance from me. If you notice, sometimes you'll see me with the AirPod Pros in my ear to keep this 5G away from me. That's right. I have way too much waves hitting. Where you wear it on your hip, in your back pocket. Women wear this like an appendage, especially women. That back jean pocket is made for a phone. They need to make jeans with phone holders y'all wearing back there so much, but you shouldn't wear them. That phone's so close to the body. Yes, this is the iPhone 13 Pro with the 5G. They say, oh, it's fast, it's awesome, but it's a lot of radiation that we don't need. That's why we eat the Navy bean. Well, let me get right into, if you have any questions, please pose them. Excuse me. You're going to see me drinking a bit of that water today because I'm on another 48-hour fast. I used to do, back in the 90s, I used to do 72 hour, well, 48 to 72 hour fast the end of each month. And then, well, that's when I was active. I was walking all around Hempstead. I have a bad ankle. My left ankle has tendinosis. That's the sports injury. That's like the tennis elbow and the pitcher's shoulder. Woo! It's a life, that's a tendon, you know, sprain and sprain and sprain. They never heal because you never let your sprain heal. I have tendinosis in the left ankle from doing all that walking around Hempstead. For decades, I was walking. I didn't get a car to I borrowed my father's car in his van once in a while. But I was walking around Hempstead. 600 Fulton, Main Street. It was a triangle. 600 Fulton, Main Street to the apartments at 150 Washington, in that area, in the village, going all the way down, past the middle school, to the Hempstead Farm. Remember at the super farms? All the way to Jerusalem, back towards the Uniondale border, the Ingraham Estates, and the houses back towards Fulton and more and Little on the Heights. Brother Elvin was doing back beyond the Heights. Many of you know Brother Elvin have a deep, rich voice. That southern drawl, Brother Elvin. Delivering the final call and being pods and other products to your doors. That's our mission, door to door. You know, you just don't let anyone in your house. That's a real privilege to go knock on someone's door, knock, knock, knock. Who is it? Brother Orbi Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. Stop by, bring you a final call, and get to know you, family. And I became a family counselor and a youth mentor. And adults with the brothers, man, you know. Talking shop with brothers. We used to talk big shop for years. You know, going door to door. Then I watched everybody get displaced by the thousands. We lost our homes, moved. But the moving from them houses was directly associated to what I just spoke of, that black tax, being overtaxed, paying someone else taxes. You lose your home. You get devitalized, you move out. That's the prelude to gentrification that is happening now to make Hempstead a college yuppie city. For Hofstra University, which don't employ black people from Hempstead, Malloy, who don't employ black people from Hempstead, for Adelphi, who don't employ black people from Hempstead. They're expanding, they're conquering, because they're conquerors. And we're subjects, we're the colonized. So we got to change that around. And I'll segue with that right into my subject. How many of us are unbalanced? You know, what is our intent? To develop a self-health image through mind, body, and soul. Many of us have the goals in life of what? You know, what's the main energy in life? Survival. Survival, that's food, clothing, and shelter. And then next is importance, sex. Food, clothing, shelter, and sex. And survival of the race. And the next is importance. But our survival and basics of Black America, of us being in a colonized state, those instincts have been made into pleasures. You know? We don't want substance, community value. We don't want tangibles. We don't want land. We don't want responsibility. Most of us. We are a huge pool of millions. The bulk of us, Black America, Native Black Americans, we are the bulk. Our main aim and purpose is to get a job. We are laborers and consumers. We are a huge pool of laborers and consumers. Most of us, some of us not, some of us entrepreneurs. If you can hear my words, you can read my words. If you're an entrepreneur, you're industrious, you're a militant, you're a nationalist, you love yourself, you know, this message is not speaking to you. We're the minority, but we're a minority. And we need to team up together to become a power, a core. Black America, we need a core to organize our people. Our people, the 85% will never change. That number will always stand true. 85, 10%, and 5%. That number is universal. It's slightly adapted. Depending on the revolution, or you're still on a plantation, or you're free, or you're industrious, depending on where you're at. But it's our responsibility to develop institutions that correct the poor self-image. What is our self-image? We were, right now, we come under the teaching of Caucasians. So what do we want right now? We don't want that cohesiveness. We don't want independence. We don't want to be like Israel, have an independent state of Israel and dual citizenship. We citizens here and we citizens in an independent country. Like Israel, they're proud of that, Israelis. As unjust as they are, they treat the Palestinians like dogs and claiming to be the light of the world. Well, that's an example for us. That when we become independent, we get mineral-rich land, we get a port by the sea, we get our $500K each, that's $500,000 for reparations for every native-born black American who was over here hundreds of years and built the country. That's reparation, it's repair. It's compensation. That's the dollar amount. Whether you get it in land, whether you want it, and that $500K is good. Because everybody don't want to separate. Our people mainly, a good amount of our people, suffer collective Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome. Remember Dog Day Afternoon, the movie with Al Pacino? Al Pacino played the bank robber, him and Sal. It was fun. It's a good movie, too. It was based on a true story. Robbing Keystone Cops, bungling robbers, going to the bank, get caught, hold them hostage, and it was a joke. It was a real threat, but in a sense, it was comedy because of the two characters, and Sonny and Sal. So they were such characters that the employees that they were holding hostage started having empathy for them. People do that. People that you hold hostage for a while and you brutalize them, like Patty Hearst. You kidnap them, you do them. After a while, they start associating with you. They start having empathy for you. So you can brutalize them too. Sometimes you can do horrible things to them. But if you hold them captive, you under their energy, you under their control in their arena, and it's outside forces trying to free you from that, and they can't, and it's a struggle, and it prolongs, over time, weak people will start associating with say, look, they won't be all that panicked. They're scared. You know how people panic and scared? They're crying and stuff and hyperventilating and hysteria. Women get hysteria. Some men too nowadays. You're getting more, we're punking more men now. You go through that, but you let that go on for days. Under a captive, after a while, you won't be scared to say, I got to use the bathroom. You start saying their name. And you start throwing little jokes. I got to use the bathroom. Come on, you don't want me to splatter all over the thing. It'll mess up. And there are people who are being held hostage with you who will giggle at something like that. After a while, that's Stockholm syndrome. We develop a collective Stockholm syndrome. If you look at all they've done to us, how they've destroyed us, we embrace the poor self-image they have given us. Because we are powerful people. Native black Americans, we're the most talented, powerful people on the planet. But we don't utilize our own energy. Because what do we want right now in the immediate? We want luxury. We want comfort. We want the social climb. Most of that is getting out the community. You know what I'm saying? You can have, it's the emotions and the moods are kind of narcotic. They're powerful. Somebody get a luxury item, if you ain't never had luxury before, it makes them happy. Not their spirit, it's not the mind, body, and soul. It's the emotion and mood, it's happiness. Because you got a luxury that people had made scarce, and now you got it. You couldn't get it, now you got it. But it is a healthy self-image that gives us happiness, that gets us luxuries. That's how luxuries are obtained. Luxury, they have that saying, I'm not laughing because I'm happy. I'm happy that I laugh. Some people can't laugh. Some people traumatized, tormented in life, We under the system of white supremacy, robbed us of everything. Told us we were niggas and Negroes. Caucasian shaped us into his image. We are created in the image of Allah, the supreme creator, force and power, creator of the heavens and earth, and the controller of the universe. And the universe is Lord of the worlds. We are created in his image. And the white man, Caucasian, made us in his image. A caveman, a grafted man, a compulsive man, a greedy man, a frightened man, an anti-nature man, anti-black by nature. Why? Because we're the original people. And our nature is Islam, the essence of truth and power in this world. You know? When we look in this mirror, you see an image of yourself. But that image that you see, that you perceive, is the image within you. And what is the image within us? It's a 2D picture. I'm looking at this picture now. It's on the selfie mode, the camera. You know, it's reversed though. But the image that you see is two-dimensional. It's an illusion. You know, it's whatever we have in our mind is what we will see. And the problem is that's not what we want. That's not what we desire. That's not where we want self-realization. That's not where we want happiness. We don't want it to come from the mirror. We're looking at outside. We're looking at magazines. In the 90s, they had all from the, like 60, 70 years, right? They had magazines, photo magazines with graphics and stuff for decades in America that were popular. We would love them magazines. Just recently we stopped reading those magazines. You may see them in doctor's offices now, or in some other commercial setting, or office, or catalog. Those pop magazines, we used to consume them. We as black people, we made copies of our own in a ebony jet, you know what I'm saying? That reflected our culture then. We look at the magazines, we look at TV, and now smartphones and social media. This imagery is bad. How do you know it's bad? Because you soaked it up and you're projecting it in the mirror. This is why our women get so-called made up. They put on excessive makeup. Think over that. So our sisters that wear a lot of makeup, it's almost like a mask. We're hiding behind something. You know? There's simple makeup. Now, I'm out of my lane here, and I'm speaking out of my lane. I'm an observer here. I'm just observing. I don't understand the deep science of woman. That's in Allah. There's something deep in me, the yin and the yang, the male, female. A part of that is in me, but the answer is in a woman. A woman will give you that answer of why she wears excessive makeup. But I'm just giving you from my perspective of a woman who wears no makeup, has most of her stuff natural, hardly wears fancy things, hardly wears luxuries and stuff, simple, satisfied, happy, content, as opposed to a woman seeking so much validation through changing the imagery of yourself by putting on that mask. They call it makeup. That sounds compensatory. Makeup itself, made over. Who are we made an image of? Made over. That's something. Make up. That sounds compensatory. You know, mainly women who think themselves more beautiful and have a self-health image wear less makeup. They wear a little. I think that's the foundation you call it, with maybe some little enhanced lips, enhanced mascara, something like that. But what's the sister that's throwing on the excessive makeup and with the eyelashes that's outrageous, you know, exaggerated things, more of that stuff. That's covering something. You're looking for something in the mirror. You want to see something. So you're building up yourself as that representation. See, that's not you. That's not the true you. Excuse me. You are what you embrace. But the true you is the connection of your soul. That goes directly to Allah. I reflected on that. I was never taught too deep on the soul. Many people do not teach on the soul. I used to look at that teaching, the soul. What does it mean? What is the soul? And I read it. I was in Malloy College. That was, excuse me, let me get some water. Told you I'm fasting. I need to go on a fast anyway. Lack of food, just coffee and water for days. I was at Malloy, and I was studying the soul. This was the late 90s. I was on the internet. That's why I mainly stayed on the internet before, because I didn't have the money to get, I was laid off from work. I was doing appliance repair in Manhattan. I got laid off from work. I was on unemployment. And they sent in a brother. That was in the late 80s. This is the late 90s. And I said lightning must strike twice, because a brother hooked me up with that unemployment training. That was brother Leon, I believe it was. We were getting on the bus all the time, each other, going to Amityville all the time in the late 80s. And he said, yo, brother, you were unemployed? He said, I'm doing job training now. He said, I went to the unemployment agency in the late 80s in Hempstead. He said, they paying for my training. I said, where's this at, man? He said, yeah, man, go to unemployment. When you go to get your unemployment, he said, look, I want to do some training. He said, they will pay you during training. He said, if you're doing a training and it goes past your 26 weeks of unemployment, they will continue for another year if you're doing the training. I said, well, I'm interested in electronics. Daggone sure. I went up to unemployment, and that was in the late 80s. He told me that in the old bus terminal, and in the late 80s. And I went to unemployment, and they sent me to electronics school that I excelled in. It's something I wanted to do. They paid me for it. I was getting unemployment. And then I got a job after that. Well, lightning struck twice. I went to Malloy in the late 90s under unemployment, and I did computer graphics at Malloy. That was a certificate program. And I extended that 2 years to unemployment, because I kept going, because I liked it, computer graphics. And being in that, I don't know, lost my chain of thinking here. But being in that environment, healthy self-image is what you see. You cannot get validation. You cannot get validation from outside. Because you never please somebody. People are dissatisfied. If people are dissatisfied, you will never be able to please them. That validation must come from within. The connection to your soul. That's where I drifted off from. Going back to training from unemployment. I studied at Malloy for the soul. I could never find the best answer. It was never clear to me what the soul was. Then I started, theorizing, and I said, well, the soul seemed to be the essence of you. Soul, every time I hear the James Brown, we have soul music, James Brown, Black Americans. Our music specifically is called soul music. And that seems to come from an experience. It's something that we went through that got us to face challenges in ourselves that we manifest. That music is no other around the world. Look at a blues. I'm still touched to the soul now, but blues. That was our misery. Blues come from the Mississippi Delta. That's what we was doing at chattel slavery, and the hardest hell we faced in this country. Well, the whole being exposed to all of them is hell. But you know how intense it was, the Mississippi Delta. Well, the blues came up out of there. No other people around the planet had that type of blues. You go to other Africans, even the Caribbean. Jamaican have some little soul. You do hear some sad songs, some. But most of Haiti, you don't hear all this sad singing that we had, blues. All in Caribbean, even in Brazil, all of that stuff. They got that soccer music, and they got reggae. And reggae is more conscious and stuff. Jamaicans, we have this, not the same experience, but a little similar, because this is the belly of the beast. This is ground zero for the wickedness of the Caucasian race around the world. We are the thrivers of this. We are the survive. We survived, and now we're thriving. No other people produce soul music. We did, Native Black Americans. When you go to South America, you go to Africa, you hear that sort of like a joyous da 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 da. It's more a little upbeat. It's more a little joyous. What you call that, salsa, even that with the Spanish little twist to it, all that stuff. Central America, South America, black people who went in them countries, in the Caribbean, even in Africa, their music does not compare to what we produce in this country. The blues and soul. See, that challenge brought us to bear ourselves. And what's the bearing of yourself? You ever hear that expression? Dig deep into your soul. You know, and Allah gives us the answer in the Quran. He says, I permit you to wake up at night. And why do you wake up? 'Cause I return your soul to you. Your soul goes to Allah. You know, the spirit is universal. Our spirit is the universe that can connect to other people and go on other people, not your soul. Your soul is your personal connection to the earth, Black Mother Earth, and to Allah. Doesn't go up. The spirit goes up. Like right now, I'm sitting up erect. I'm sitting up like my brother Rizza Islam, my brother City Rec. You know, I was just taught to sit upright. FOI class. That was brother Kenneth. May Allah be pleased with him. Brother Xavier. Brother, he was doing processing class. No, processing class. We have an FOI class. We have a processing class. We have some magnificent teachers and coaches there, taking boys into men and turning broken men into whole men. And that was Brother Kenneth. I was slouching, and I think I was in the basement of the mosque number 7 in Harlem, 127th Street in Lenox, 106, 127th, around the corner from Sylvia's. And this is in the late 90s. I was sitting in FOI class. I had to go on to C class. So I missed some things. Had a little job retraining. No, it was unemployment, and I was searching around for jobs. Missing things, so I had to sit back down there in class. I'll never forget, Brother Victor was sitting in the front seat. Brother Kenneth was teaching the class. Brother Victor, that went to Georgia, Puerto Rican Brother Victor. He's about my complexion, Puerto Rican brother. He had like straighter hair. Brother Victor, I think he was from the Bronx. And he was sitting in like C class, so I came in class, and I didn't want to interrupt Brother Kenneth, so I was standing up. And as I stood up, I was like slouching to the side, you know, chilling. And Brother Kenneth was teaching, and he said, you know, come on, black man, you gotta get up, you gotta stand up right, you gotta pay attention, you gotta be a man. And he looked over me, saw me slouching like that. He went in front of the whole class and pointed me out, sized me up and down. Look how we stand, all slouched. I jumped up erect to stand how I'm supposed to stand. In the FOI class, we stand you up. You get you in the grooming, hygiene, training, and cleaning to stand you up. It's the spirit that goes up, like the plasmic in the clouds, the water. It's hardly detectable to the eye, but you can see it on a bright sunny day. If you look behind me, it's cloudy back there. The sun hit the clouds. Those rays that you see emanating in a 360-degree angle, but it's mainly down because it's coming down to the earth. Those rays capture some of the Mr. Air that's of water that have gotten lighter than gravity, that's rising up around us. All around us is water rising up around us, but you can't see it. It's hardly detectable to the eye, and you can't see the sun rays hitting the earth, splitting into a 360-degree angle. But if you look at them together, those coupled together, the sun rays hitting the atmosphere, splitting out to a 360-degree, because if the sun hit us directly, we burn. So it hits the atmosphere for the greenhouse effect. So when you look at the two signs, you can see, when you look at the two signs, you'll see both of the phenomenon through that one sign. Two things happening. That ray is the fine Mr. Air going around us that is manifest through the sun hitting the atmosphere through those clouds. Because when it gets heavier than gravity, when water gets heavier than gravity, it falls back to the earth. Well, the soul returns to the earth. The body returns to the earth. What's keeping us up? What's got me up at the spirit? They say, man, dig deep into your soul. That's your essence, going back, and keep a good spirit. Put your spirit into it. That must mean go faster, go harder. Stay steadfast, stay focused. You know what I'm saying? And you draw that extra energy and you accomplish whatever you have to accomplish. That's with anything. And if you notice, if you do what I'm doing, fasting, not eating food and even waters either. You can do a dry fast, no coffee or water. but I got to have my coffee and water. I go the water as long as I can, you know. And the coffee, sometimes I'll prolong it, but the food is a lot more easier for me, you know. It restores your cells. Fasting without water, without food, fasting without food and drinking water and coffee in between, that fast restores your cells. Fasting without water and food and coffee, with nothing, a dry fast for long extended times, renews cells. You can restore your cells and you can renew them. And and so my body, it's consuming the fat that's in there. Getting rid of pandemic belly. I had the daggone, I reached almost 200 pounds. Like last month. I said, oh no, that was a pandemic. I wasn't getting around, wasn't active like I used to be. So the belly started kicking up. So now I know I'm down now. I'm looking, you can look at my face, see how I'm leaning up these last couple of weeks, because I've been diligent on that. Some days I do the 3-day fast. I've done up to 5-day fast. I'm going to get back to that. Doing 5 days without food. Did you know you could do that? Just water and coffee? You could do it dry. You could do a 90-day fast. Remember Jesus did the 40-day fast? Minister Farrakhan did a 40-day fast. You be floating. But you got to be in a peaceful environment. You can't be in a rat race. It'll definitely harm you. But the spirit is what keeps us up. It's like that water. And the soul, the analogy of the soul and the spirit is the water, the fine mist of water, hardly detectable to the eye. A lot of things are like that. Subtleties. Some of us who are wise and study things from a distance could see what others can't see. It's almost like we got on special glasses and we're looking through a special filtered lens. An optic. You know how you magnify your optics and stuff too? Where you can see things a little closer that others can't see? That's what observation is. Becoming more observant, learning things. The spirit is like electricity. You know, in the wire, the copper wire, them electrons going through the copper is not no mass movement of electrons. Electricity that you cannot see, it moves at the speed of light. Electricity. Light photons move at the speed of light. You cannot observe the speed of light unless you're perfectly still. Peace and still. The electrons do like a pool ball effect through the copper wire. You stimulate one and it makes a chain reaction. And that's the movement of electrons that move at the speed of light. And you can't see it, but you see the effect. So that's the way the spirit is. We can't see the spirit. There's some people that spooky as hell. they claim to see ghosts and spirits and it's spooky. You don't perceive, you overthinking. You're not tied in your emotions too hard. That spirit is within all of us. So the spirit is what keeps us up. That's why when you pass, you exhale. And what do you, when you pass, when you expire, you return to Allah, you're going back into the earth. Do not get cremated. Do not burn. The wicked burn in fire. It's the wicked that burn. The righteous do not burn. Damn. Don't do it. Now look at us. We ain't got money for a funeral. We got to go on a GoFundMe. And I'm looking up. I be in the funerals looking up for the body to go observe the body. And look, this is different. It's just an urn up there because we done put the ashes. No. Original people do not do that. That's from the caves and hillsides of Europe. And I believe that was Zoroaster would burn the body. Still, that's not us. We're natural. We go back to Black Mother Earth. Thank you, Jesus. Now, the spirit is eternal. Electricity is here. The number of electrons, atoms in the atmosphere. Master Fard Muhammad gave us a calculation to measure the number of atoms in the atmosphere. He said 2 cubic square inches contain 50 billion atoms. 50 billion atoms can fit in the grasp of your hand. I took 2 1-inch cubes. That's 2 cubic inches of atoms. Now atoms have different sizes and stuff. The more dense one is the metal. Gold is a dense atom. It's more dense than plastic. polymer. Gold, the earth don't even produce gold. Did you know that? Gold was a mineral that slapped into the earth as we grew it initially. The earth produced coal. The earth produced diamonds, crushing coal under pressure and heat in time. The earth produced crystals, but the earth does not produce gold. Gold is air. It's indestructible. You melt it down, it becomes liquid. It goes through the 5 phases of matter. And so do these atoms in the air. The atoms, once they get imbalanced, they attack that which is trying to destroy them. The earth fights back. You go and pollute the ocean, it'll throw that garbage right back to the shore if it's close enough to the shore initially. That's the natural survival instinct of the earth. So with pollutants, taking too many resources out the earth, that's like raping the earth. What did you do to a rapist? Remember that expression? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. The lightning will hit you. Well, it's not nice to rape Black Mother Earth because Allah is just. And He got a date for you who are operating out of these exploitations. And you're not tuned into your spirit, mind, body, and soul. And that spirit is eternal. And the sad part is you either utilize it or you don't. Your soul is your personal connection to Allah. And the best answer I had for that was in the Quran, where Allah says, when you go to sleep, I return your soul that you wake back up. He determines everything. Don't you know when you were about to pass, when you were in a trauma? I was in a car. Excuse me, let me get some of this water. I was in my Dodge Stealth. This was right before Savior's Day, I think like 2010, something like that, 2009. Driving 50 miles an hour. The Dodge Stealth was literally an all-wheel drive car, and it literally had 4-wheel steering. So I was overconfident in it. And I had some nice tires on it, and with that all-wheel drive and the 4-wheel steering, the 2 front wheels turned, and the rear wheels turned to like a 15-degree angle to stabilize it when you kick in them twin turbos. It's like a 1992 sports car. And they would go at them high speeds, and it would be stabilized, and I could drive it. It was a stick. Well, I was on the Northern State Parkway, and going 50 miles an hour, my dummy self, my dumb ass, in a virgin snowstorm. A virgin snow ice storm on the Northern State Parkway, over there by Westbury on the Northern State Parkway. All the traffic, I was passing cars. They were going like 50 miles an hour. In a virgin snowstorm, you only go in New York, only go about 15, please. If you don't know that, you know now. Because I learned the hard way. I was overconfident, and most people in them big pickup trucks and Rams and 4x4s and Jeeps and stuff, they get overconfident. We all do. And I was driving, going 50, going out to Northport, I think it was, to go do some interior design I was doing in the house. I was remodeling the inside of the house with a team, a good brother. And I was on my way, and I was passing cars on Northern State Parkway eastbound. I got over there by Westbury, by the drive-in theater, Westbury Theater over there, right around one of them exits, and I was just going 50. And it was a virgin snowstorm with ice and slick, and I hit a slush pile. And it was a scene out of NASCAR. I couldn't, it was a stick. So the brake went, and the gears went. I couldn't shift the gears lower, and I started just sliding around. I was out there by myself too, because all the traffic was behind me, going there respectfully, 15 miles an hour. And I started skidding around. I went up this embankment, and I hit the brakes. That was the worst thing to do, because then it just went like NASCAR. Slid up the embankment, and this shock and horror was surreal. It was like slow motion. I was going 50, I hit that slush pile, and I came up to that brick barrier in between the opposing lanes, and I just came right into it. Everything went in slow motion. It was surreal. And I hit that concrete wall, and I bounced back, and it banged me, so it spun me around, and the car, it conked out, I thought it was total. And the next thing I know, I was facing oncoming traffic. But because I was a dumbass going 50, them cars they were going so slow, all of them stopped. That was funny. I was in a Dodge Stealth. I smacked into that concrete barrier and boom, 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 turned around and all of the traffic had stopped. I said, oh man, and they had time to start slowly going around my behind. So I thought the car was trash. It was smoking and steam, but it was a tough car. That was a solid steel car. And it came back on. It was a stick manual. It came back on, and I got off the first exit, by the Westbury Theater. And I looked at the car. I thought it was total. It was just, it slightly bent the front. But as that was happening, I thought I was dying. I thought I was in mortal danger. I thought this is bad. I was like, this is going to be bad because nothing I could do. Them controls wouldn't work. The stick, it was sliding on its own. It was the gravity just taking it right into that concrete. And it was worse that I put on the brake. And it was going toward that barrier, pow. And that's surreal thinking. That is your soul and your spirit. See, that's when things get real. You know? When your spirit leaves you and when your soul returns to Allah, that is Allah. You don't control that. You cannot control that. When you're going towards the eternal, that eternal, you are not in control of that. What you do, now that is the ultimate, submitting your will to do the will of Allah. I faced that. I faced a blackout, a severe blackout, a real blackout, right at my mother's apartment in Avalon some years ago. I was, this is for real, I was driving a low car, a sedan, for quite some time. I got used to it. But that day, I decided I was in an SUV, driving an SUV, a Suburban, which changed my position. Now you're sitting up. You know, the sedan, you're leaning back. So this day, I was sitting up for some hours. And I hadn't drunk water because I was doing some work and I didn't want to use the bathroom. So I went without water. I was dehydrated. And being in that position, being so used to sitting in a sedan position and then going to sitting up like that, upright, that change of posture, and being dehydrated, I went to bed to sleep, and I was woken up with a spasm. It wasn't a cramp. I've had cramps. I've had cramps where I've yelped. It wasn't what yelped like a dog yelp. And scream, at the top of my voice. Cramps. My ankle, calf, especially the calf. You know, the calf cramp. We get those all the time. And a hamstring sprain, you know, a Charlie horse. I don't wish a Charlie horse on nobody. Charlie horse. But this was more than a cramp. It was severe. I've had cramps. I used to jog. I used to work out, still lift weights, stretch, martial arts and stuff. So you get them cramps. This one was severe. This cramp, I got up out of bed and I immediately started massaging. I've learned to massage those cramps away. But this one, because of that dehydration, it was a spasm. Miss McCorkle told me that. She said, but you had a muscle spasm. And it was on the right calf and underneath the knee. And the calf on up to the lower leg. And it was bad. It would not go away. It felt like a piece of molten iron was inside the marrow of my bone. It's like the marrow of my bone turned into a piece of iron. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even move it. It was just so paralyzed, you know, and that's what it felt like. It felt so heavy and unmovable, and the pain was just going around it from the muscle like that. And I was like, this, and I panicked. Now I was dehydrated. I still wasn't hydrated, and I panicked. I couldn't massage it away. I said, I keep massaging this, and it stayed. And eventually, sitting in a chair, I was doing that, and as I did that, I blacked out. You know, tunnel vision? I've had that too. Driving, when you're looking, and it's a light in front of you, and the tunnel vision is that around you is a black space closing in. And that's what it's tunnel vision. See, I'm looking at you, and that black space around you, you can't see anything beyond it. and you fade away, unconscious. Then you come back, it expands back faster. It comes in slow. That happened to me twice, tunnel vision, doing a 5-day fast. And I was crouching when I should have, bending over, doing things when I shouldn't. I got up and the blood rushed up and gave me, and I almost blacked out, but I had a tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is different from what that spasm gave me. That tunnel vision you can't see beyond it. When I was driving too much too, tired driving, got tunnel vision, had to pull over and get some sleep. That's twice the tunnel vision happened. I was on the Horace Harding Highway. But I was sitting in that chair and that pain would not go away. And I guess that stress, that anxiety of what is this? What's happening to me? I thought it was a blood clot. You know? I didn't know what it was. I was like, why isn't this going away? Normally after like a couple of minutes, it would still be sore, but it would go away. That tight grip, you know, on the muscle. It stayed. And I was like, maybe this is a blood clot. You know, maybe what is this? It was this muscle spasm from being dehydrated. And that anxiety hit me. And then all of a sudden I didn't get tunnel vision. What happened as I sat there, my vision started diminishing up into a corner. My consciousness, my literal consciousness started diminishing into a minimal aspect, into the lower left corner of this big, huge void. It was like a big, huge nothing I was frightened of. That big, huge nothing I was unsure of. I got all this anxiety, and now my consciousness is leaving me. My words. I couldn't even put together words. My consciousness started diminishing, and I was trying to hold on. I was like, don't leave. My consciousness, don't leave. And the more words I tried to speak, the more less I could. My words went down to like 2, then they went away. And all of a sudden, it came back faster, and I came to. And I have that actually recorded on video, on a house camera, security camera. I have that recorded, what happened. It looks like I just went away. I started like shaking, rumbling around as I went unconscious. But that was a serious, because I was like, no, 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 don't let this happen. That's what I was saying, no, no, no. I said a dying man's words. When people are dying, they say that. They don't embrace the eternal. Embrace it. I know that next time I embrace everything. Embrace everything. Don't resist with that no, 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 no. You embrace it. Embrace the eternal. That is your soul. That is your soul. And you're getting a glimpse of your soul. That's what those surreal moments are. Near-death experiences. People see their spirit rising up. I don't think the soul rises up. I think the spirit leaves out. People say they have their last breath. I think the soul is analogous to air. This atmosphere. The soul. And I think it's assigned to us. And you know, and we extract, how do we survive? We extract a mist of air. Don't you know, if when you connect your mind, body, and soul, you extract or find a mist of air by your outlook, your disposition, your body posture, how you stand erect, a proper posture. It gets blood circulating better. Your muscles feel better. Your bones are more aligned, more relaxed. We're all walking around with knock knees and stuff and not treating our children, not getting our children up. You're supposed to teach babies as soon as they can walk. To not only just walk on the feet, the babies, get them up on their toes. Walking upright with a spring, with a bounce, with some spirit. That soul, I believe, is analogous to the air. It's here, it provides a substance, but you can't see it. It's hardly detectable, you know, because this is nothing but gas. This is gas all around us. It's mainly nitrogen. Some of it is oxygen. We extract the oxygen. There's a whole process going on there. So I believe that the spirit is like, it moves at the speed of light, but it's like electricity. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said electricity is the most mysterious force in the universe because it makes things happen. but you can't see it because it moves at the speed of light. And they have observed, and I even asked them at some of them scientists at the Brookhaven National Lab where they have the accelerator. I asked them, the electron, I said, if we cannot see the speed of light, and this camera is picking up different wavelengths of light, and then projecting it to us, and what we're seeing, like different colors, different depths. I'm here close, that's far away. The different colors are spectrums of light. There's just different wavelengths, different frequencies. Everything is motion. Everything is movement and motion. It's just that it's different levels. It's different rates and cycles. And I asked the engineers, I said, well, I think they said they collide gold atoms. Gold atoms. And remember, gold is not from Earth. Earth don't produce gold. We go and we get gold out of the Earth. And he said they collide gold atoms and they study the effects of how the collision and the effects. And I was intrigued that the speed of light is not observable to our eye. Even lightning, you see the effect of lightning. But the speed of light, our eyes pick up that energy in the differences of the wavelengths in light, that make matter that, it's almost like a radar. It's almost like a spiritual, we have within us a spiritual, ethereal, like radar. Have bats have sonar. Everything we look at is not necessarily what we receive. We have to send out some energy, like the sun. How the bat, it can tell if its prey is close or far away. It sends out that signal, that high screech, like a sonar. And the screech goes back. If it comes back fast, the bat knows that moth is close. But if the bat sends out a signal over here to the right, and it takes a long time for the echo to come back, he said that's something far away. This thing is close. Let me get this. Well, so it is with our vision, with our eyes. They are not only receptors, but it's energy that we send out. Our spirit is connected to everything. All in Black Mother Earth, all the way up to the atmosphere. The home of Earth goes out, I believe, trillions of miles. Yes. But that would be the entire solar system. I think that's the entire solar system. But the home of Earth, the energy that we don't see goes out a far distance. And that energy interact with other things. Well, we have energy detectors, but it's almost like the radar too. The radar that goes out, it's ethereal. And it goes out and it tells us what's happening out there. And we relay the image back, like sharks in the sea. They send out electrical signals. And a shark can smell blood. That's one of its senses. But that electrical sense can sense movement in the water like a mile away. If a fish is in distress, the shark has them senses that sends out electrical signals and waits for them to come back. It says food over there, and the shark goes and get it. And it's a special treat if he smells some blood. He smells a drop of blood long way ago. So it is with us, but this has been shut down in us. Why? Because we have been shaped in the image of Caucasian people, and he is limited, and he has taken our potential and robbed us of it. We are created in the image of Allah, but the Caucasian took us. He took advantage of our spiritual nature, especially those of us who were superstitious. You know what superstition is? Superstition is, superstition is, I got the water here, and over time, some of it evaporates when I come back. Oh, that was mystery God. Now I must go do something in order because that happened. And something will happen to me. And the next time this goes down, it will be because I did something, that routine. You know, you see the water move down, you say, oh, that was a miracle. The water evaporated. It's at a different level. You come back a week later, however long time it takes for it to evaporate. And if you're superstitious, You say, oh, the water level changed. So let me go and you do some stupid routine. I don't care what you do. Go smack the flagpole. Then when you come back and you say, listen, that seemed to work. So superstition is over time and ignorance, over time and obscure traditions becoming a routine for you. And you go and you say, well, let me go smack the flagpole to make the water go down. And then that's what superstitious people is. So if a wise man who knows what water is, know what evaporation is, know what science is, know what your silly ass going to smack the flagpole is, says that's because of he explains it to you. That's because of the mystery God. It's because of this. Just go over there, you keep smacking the pole, I'm going to go on and take your property and your land and, keep on doing it. And every year I'll bring you more water. That's what superstition is. Well, Caucasians we were superstitious. Mainly West Africans and a lot of black native people here. Millions of us were here. And we were spiritual, but superstitious too. And that's superstitious where he said, trust me. I'll give you more gold for your labor. We became the slaves to build more gold. America is a mountain of gold. She got the largest gold reserve in the world, 8,100 tons. A ton is 2,000 pounds. Most big cars are 2 tons, almost 4,000 pounds. And he tricked us into trusting him. And he made us into niggers and Negroes. They gave us this poor self-image with superstition. Then he enforced it. Then he gave us a slave religion. And he said the highest form of philosophy, and you wise ones will be under my teaching. And he tricked us. And he made us in his image, a caveman. This is why we're so dependent on him. We like his children. He is like, what you call it, a deadbeat dad. I have a saying, when the system becomes your father, life's a bitch. We had bought the idea that we are inferior, but it's done so subtle now. And we think that advancing is getting close to him. It's a sad tragedy. We're not learning the knowledge of self. That's our power. Nationalism, cultivation. Knowledge of self or who we are and what Caucasians are. We think the proper education now is to put in critical race theory. Silly. We're so silly, man. We have been made silly. Mentally dumb, deaf, and blind. That's what a Negro is. Mentally dumb, deaf, and blind, and spiritually dead. You're not connected. Because we trust and rely on a man that miscultivated us, miseducated us. Woodrow Wilson said it outright. No good Woodrow Wilson. A wicked-ass Caucasian man. No good. Hated black people. He just hated us. The President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson. First thing he did was fired all the black federal employees. He said it. He was pivotal in the raising of them all-black towns we built. We prospered. We're the most talented, industrious, beautiful people on this planet. Native black Americans that built this country, because we come through the conditions that challenged us to confront our souls with a demon, a ghoul, who is a soul consumer. He consumes souls. His soul ain't right, it's corrupt. That's a hell of a thing to have a corrupt soul. We follow him and we trust him. And we've gone through that. And Woodrow Wilson said, I'm going to make an elite education and I'm going to make an inferior education. And guess who got the inferior education? Excuse me. Woodrow Wilson said that's how it's going to be. And we trust that education. This is the legacy of that thought, of that thinking. He screamed Birth of a Nation in the White House. That was a Ku Klux Klan recruiting film. In the White House, legitimizing them to come out and terrorize. And what were they doing? We had separated from white folks. This was after so-called emancipation. We left them plantations. We built all black towns, hundreds of them. 60 of them were major. 2 of them were outstanding. Black Wall Street, no, a couple of them. Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Los Angeles, Rosewood, and Durham, North Carolina. A few of them were very outstanding, and we excel Caucasians. We excel them. Because we're more talented than them. We're more industrious than them. We're more brilliant than them. We excel Caucasians in this nation. And to turn 100 years ago, coming up from slavery with nothing, couldn't read, ignorant. And the white Christian church that came and got us in the South and started teaching us after emancipation, they gave us an inferiority complex. And they just updated the slave form of Christianity that was taught to us. It was a slave version that Caucasian taught us. Them slave masters were Masons and Shriners anyway. No good Woodrow Wilson sent them Ku Klux Klan. He was full, in effect, he was like a general to them, giving them orders and validation to go and raise them all black towns. Raise them. You know what raise means? That means burn to the ground, murder, pillage, burn, rape, terrorize. And many of us don't even discuss this. It's only a few of us that discuss this. That ain't goddamn critical race theory. Are they teaching that? The nature of Caucasian people, our success, the knowledge of self, our excellence, our perfection, and our duty as a people, our nature have to be taught. We have 2 different natures. Caucasians have a different nature than us. That's why they could do what they do. Murder us by the millions. They're going to teach that in critical race theory? No. We need the knowledge of self. We need independent schools. Native black Americans, we're a special group. We need special organizations. We need special institutions specifically tuned towards restoring us and revitalizing us and repairing us, the damage that was done in his public school system. He told you it was inferior. Even I believe that was Clinton, Dwight Clinton, from that founded the New York Board of Regents. He was talking about giving 2 different forms of education that is currently the public school system that you so proudly tout to us, man. There's no critical thinking in there. Hempstead Public School is a school-to-prison pipeline, and officials sit up there acting like we should be proud of them, like we should be giving them certificates, like we should be saluting them. We should be celebrating that failed system that gives us an inferiority complex. No, we should not. Hell no, we shouldn't. It's the blind leading the blind. Our natures are different. We're the original people. There's a lot of things we do differently. Go watch Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney. Go listen to Malcolm talking about the difference in black and white people. This is a set difference. You know it, but it's been made so subtle. You know, it's been so ingrained in the society that we have accepted it as a way of life, that they're different. Oh, white people, mayonnaise, and we call them things that they do. Lacking no rhythm. You remember all that stuff we used to say, especially in the 50s. 1950 white people still had that characteristics of their nature living it in the 1950s. That core white people. Lack of rhythm, lack of shape. We used to mock Caucasian women as ironing boards. And she flat, didn't have no booty and breasts. She recently started getting that, mixing with us. That's why the Caucasians came over here, to mix with black people from West Africa, to strengthen their blood. They were dying. They always, no other race dying like that. No other race had them plagues like that and was dying. We as the black Muslims saved Caucasians up in Europe, the Moors. Remember, it was 2 of them black plagues. They call them the black plagues. That's a hell of a damn statement. Well, the English word black does mean evil, or what it is, and bad. Because in essence, in English, you aren't black. That term he uses as black. He applied it to us. We original God. When he called you black, say, I'm an original God. Allah. He'd turn around. He'd stop. He'd change his language. When he calls you the N-word, when he says nigga, you call him devil. That's the end of the name call. See, because you're going to the nature of 2 different people. Try it. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Try some of the stuff I'm talking about and watch how your perceptions change. Watch how your life change. Because his nature has been hidden. In 1950, we would say that white people smelled like, when it rains, that they smell like wet dogs. We say that their food wasn't seasoning. Britons didn't start seasoning their food to the 90s. The English, well, who are the Americans? The Americans come from the British, and they come from the Germans. That's the wicked killers of them. They wasn't seasoning their food. And they still got that so-called smell. That's what that contributes highly to that so-called smell that we as black people attributed to them in the 50s. What did we say? They smell like dogs. They smell like white bread. There's a term we have, white bread. You smell white bread, that yeastiness in the white bread? There's the whole wheat toasted bread. Even sourdough, there's white bread, Wonder White bread. Crackers. We use the analogy of mayonnaise and all types of stuff. Lack of rhythm and can't dance. All types of stuff. Even sex. The stiffness. Go watch Richard Pryor. How he would imitate white people and all that stiffness. And then say how only one or two of them have rhythm. And then he would always call out the exceptions. Even Eddie Murphy, he would say, these are exceptional white people. But the exception to what? The differences in nature that he hides. He has in his so-called small penis, he has a puny complex. He wrecks creation. We call it recreation. Go look at him. This is a park. This is a memorial park, so you're not going to find a lot of that madness, but you go to them other areas, green areas, for recreation. It is a wreck. W-R-E-C-K creation. He's giggling and laughing at destroying stuff, blowing up stuff, shooting stuff, killing pests, so-called pest animals, squirrels and stuff, and then after you kill them, laughing with glee. He's the only one that do that. You do it now because you follow him. Because you were what you call that? A monkey see, another monkey do. This man is backwards in nature. He hate nature, but nature hate him. That's why the sun tears him up. His numbers are low. It's a whole bunch of stuff in his nature. He doesn't have that high sperm count. He doesn't have the higher fertility. He doesn't have the higher birth rates. We do. And he social engineers the society to where we copy him because we trust him. That's our Achilles heel. That's our flaw. That's a tragedy of being black in America. Trusting Caucasian people. We even used to say that. Don't trust whitey. Remember Steve, what's that white man? Steve, remember the jerk? the comedian? He grew up thinking he was black, something like that. I forgot him. He was on Saturday Night Live. Some old goofy comedian. He played in a movie called The Jerk. Steve something. It'll come to me. and he act like he was black. He grew up around black people, so he accepted it as the not the black duck in the family, but the white duck in the family. So he was leaving his family for the big city, whatever it is, and something like that, and the family was hugging him. And he said, "Son, remember what we taught you?" He said, "Yeah, always tuck in your bed, always do something." And he said, "Don't trust whitey." We used to teach that. I was taught that in the 70s. We were taught, don't go out alone. Over there in 5 towns, we were in West Hempstead and then Cedarhurst. My aunt was over there on Cedarhurst on Central. It was nice over there too, but we had a good time because I was a child then. So I didn't really understand what was going on. But we couldn't go nowhere alone. William and them lived over the firehouse on Central. Me, Zena, Redbrick, Eagle. My cousins would get an ass whooping if me and Zena, the babies, went out alone. You see how you let your children just drift off alone? I'm sitting right here in a park. I would give you the turnaround, but I got too much plugged in here. Your children, you look in the hood, in the neighborhood, how your children, young children, just running around off on their own, distant somewhere. All of my cousins would get their ass whooped if me and Zena got caught out somewhere alone like that. Man, I couldn't imagine that. In the 70s, early 70s? Please. Our natures are different. And this need to at least be brought to attention. This need to be a subject. This need to be discussed in critical thinking. not critical race theory. Black people, native black people to this country, we are unique. We need a critical thinking. We need a critical analysis. We need tangibles. We need massive institutional restoration that discusses this nature. I could go on. How the dog is your best friend. Nobody like you. Nothing in nature like Caucasian people. Did you know that Caucasian people are the only people on this planet that nature just seem to focus on and attack? All the animals, the wildlife, the predator wildlife. Don't you know sharks in the sea? They go after pale skin. In nature, albinos don't prosper in nature. Albinos got a hard time in nature, especially in the jungle. Tropical jungles, tropical forests, places like that. Albino animals don't thrive well. And what happened to original animals that go up into the cold in the Arctic? They adapt. They adapt and adapt. What do you get? You don't get albinism up in Arctic animals. You got the polar bear, and you got the Arctic fox, and you got the mouse. These are not albino animals. They have melanin still in them, but they adapted to the cold. But out in the tropics, what will happen in the tropics? Nature attacks him. The children in the Amazon, they swim in the Amazon amongst piranhas. It's people who swim with alligators. Alligators is a whole different respect. It's people who have to know that. It's an ancient, let me be straight, this is universal. Crocodile really will grab you, anybody. It's an ancient African proverb that says, deep and ancient is the fear of the silence of the Nile crocodile. God damn it. That's anybody. Hungry crocodiles gonna get you. But who stands out? Up in Europe, all the big cats, all of the wolves, the big cat and the wolf attacked him up in a cave because he was anti-nature. He didn't get along with people. Over here in America, these are examples. We need to discuss this. Why isn't this being discussed? I had to go study this myself. I was watching Marty Stifer, Wild America. He was over in Africa. He didn't like how the safaris would kill African animals. This was back in the 70s and 80s. Marty Stifer, remember that? Wild America. He said it is a flush of wildlife in America. And he started documenting it. And he showed a wolf. He said the Native Americans used to, the Native American mother would take her children, her little children, crawling around, barely just getting up and walking around, take them to a wolf's den where the mother wolf, and she knew the mother wolf was in there. Her instincts tell her this. The mother wolf would be in the den with her cubs. Not the Inuit, that's the so-called Eskimo. The Native American woman would take her cubs. Matter of fact, I think it was on 500 Nations. It might not have been Marty Stifer. It could have been. I think it was 500 Nations with Kevin Costner. And let her children go into the wolf den, and they would take the cubs out of the den right from under the mother wolf. The two native children would be playing with the cubs, playing with them. They would take like the paint face and stuff and paint them in little faces and play with them. Then after a certain amount of time, the mother wolf would give a signal to call her cubs in, and the cubs would go run off back into the den. That is Native American relationship with the wolf. And the deer, you murder, you rape, you pillage, you murder off all the bisons. You can easily do that. And not only did he murder all the bisons, he did it with glee and fun, while giggling. Yes, that's a different nature, man. That need to be discussed. Then you will look at him differently. You say, what's going on with the mechanism? But instead, what do we adapt? We capitulate. And we take on that characteristics because we suffering collective Stockholm syndrome. Native Black Americans, we do this. Take on his ways. We don't even know why. You know? Whole bunch of things. I could keep the list on going. Go watch Richard Pryor. Go listen to Paul Mooney. Go listen to Malcolm X discussing the natures of different people. Go listen to our sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. she go deep into it, how it's subconscious. All type of stuff, that difference, man. Well, we're suffering because we don't understand the difference. You know, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the Caucasian race to us is like a snake, two different snakes. He said some snakes, you know, that king cobra, when he jumps up on you, when he stands up on you, you reel back. Even a rattlesnake, it's one of the big snakes, you reel back. A deadly snake. He said, but when you go out here, I can go right in this park and probably find some garter snakes under a big rock. You pull back the big rock, and the garter snake and them other harmless snakes, they take off, they run from you. He said, but that harmless, he's talking about the Caucasian liberals, the ones that's scared to confront the aggressive Caucasians. He said that garter snake, when he runs from you, he wish he didn't have to run. He wish he could get up on you and reel you back from him like that, the king cobra. You know, they have the nature of a snake with us, man. And we trust them. And what happened? We get bit. We get familiar with garter snakes, critical race theory, things will change, integration, take your time, over the years, this will transform. Just be patient, you know? All type of foolishness. And we are permanent underclass, and we just keep going down and down and down. And our underclass is growing, poverty is growing, because we keep trust in a man that is unworthy of trust. Look at them flags around here. You pledge allegiance. You should never pledge allegiance to that which haven't proved is worthy of your allegiance. We got to get more into critical thinking, not critical race theory, critical thinking of blackness, our original nature. And our original nature is what? To be one with nature, to be one with God. That is God in each other. And when we root it in our soul and we connect it, then our spirits come together. You know, then we'll be a body. But actually, I'm going to start wrapping this up because this is 7:30. It's a little, this is actually just a precursor to how I want to go into my two guests, Sister Cherie Dortch, who is a psychotherapist, and Sister Jackie Hill, who is a massage therapist. And Sister Cherie will go into the mind, the mental therapy we can take. We got to do it. We traumatize. And Sister Jackie will go into how healing the body, addressing the mental and the spiritual by, you know, acupuncture and massages and stuff to relax the body. You know, we're in a hostile environment. So much uncertainty with us. We're like the last hired, first fired. We get the bottom of everything, man, because we trust in the system. Woodrow Wilson miseducate us, said miseducate them. That have been institutionalized. The FBI was formed then. Back in the turn of the century, the FBI, the ADL, the Federal Reserve, and the IRS were all formed around the same time. And one of the first targets of the FBI was Marcus Garvey. These people plan for our destruction, for us to be a permanent underclass, and they're brilliant and wise enough to hide it. And they feel that the only conflict that they show, the only conflict you have, the only difference between them is Democrats and Republicans. That's one of the sickest tricks they have played. They're playing good cop, bad cop on us on a national level. Just the way America and Russia during the Cold War played good cop, bad cop on a global level. They're playing us because we don't understand the nature of these people. And we hardly discuss it. There's very few people I have this discussion with. This need to be institutionalized in a restoration resource center because we're unbalanced. We look for these luxuries. We look for being in that survival mode, you know what I'm saying? And he's taken our survival mode, food, clothing, shelter, and sex, and turned it into a pleasure principle. Our survival mode have been turned into pleasures. You know, that's why we drink so much. That's why we use weed so much. We trying to be numb to this hostile environment. We know it's phenomenal. We know it's hostile. We know it's against us, but it's not blatant anymore. So it's just attacking us. Our sisters, you need therapy. Look at our sisters. This is what I want to, I had this as a discussion point. Black women being promoted into corporations more. This has been done like over the last 2 decades. More than black men. Promoted, they have. But now you're in these bossy positions and you're getting more money, and you're getting more luxuries, more access, but you haven't been tempered and trained and prepared in the nature of Caucasian people. How going into them corporations is a living hell. It's glass ceilings, it's glass everything. For decades, you've been under that stress of him discriminating against black men, saying sexist, corny, dirty, nasty jokes. They've been doing that for decades. And recently the Me Too movement curbed that. So now you think you got power, but you're still in the corporation. You need psychotherapy. You the ones, and women, you are more likely to seek psychotherapy. Because you want to live out, you ain't supposed to be in that stressful situation. You ain't supposed to be leveraged as a buffer in a fifth column against black men in the battle of the sexes. That's insane. The women's liberation movement, that's the white women's liberation movement. We have a liberation movement of blackness. Why? What do we have in common? Our nature. That they do not relate to. Remember Spike Lee's Jungle Fever? I forgot the sister name. That was gone with married to Wesley Snipes in the film. Wesley Snipes went with the white girl, and Wesley Snipes, they broke up, they got found out by the Italian white girl at the job. Look how Wesley was discriminated against. All his ideas, they build up this company and we get nothing. We get taken over. It be new employees at them, new white employees who just destined to be your supervisor. You be trained more. We have that saying. I'm training my supervisor. Black people in corporations, they start training the new guy, Chad and Brad. And in 4 years, Chad and Brad is a supervisor. You still training the new ones that come in. Scarlett, she's next in line to be a little over you. She ain't gonna be the supervisor. You stress from this. So it's a trap, because if everything is not holistic, if it's not mind, body, and soul, rooted in our nature, in the essence of God, that we are God, you will be in balance. So you're looking for luxuries. You're looking for wealth. It's not wealth. It's actually accumulating Federal Reserve notes, which most of us get in debt anyway, doing that. And that interest kills us, the usury. So in your pursuit, in this hostile environment, getting more money, that compulsory, this greed, this lust, and then you're in there doing, they're diabolical. And them corporations, they're greedy. They're greedy. They just want to increase shareholder value. Not increasing your value, your womanhood, your strength, our people, or community value. They're just increasing their shareholders. They're the white supremacists. So you under that stress, you want this money, but now you got the money to pay. Now you lack of sleep, you're not sleeping, you're stressed out. You got to live with a guilty conscience. So now you in all type of therapy. So the money that you gain, you got to spend on therapy, you got to spend on massaging, and you got to spend on makeup and the doctor. Now you're eating bad food, you're in bad health. All your money goes towards your health care, your medicine. You neglect your child. You're not giving them the proper knowledge. Knowledge itself, our nature, mind, body, and soul, connected to our nature. You're not teaching your children this. You let the school miseducate them. Another generation of children abandoned. What they call us latchkey kids. They designed a society where you go to work a little earlier than the child goes to school, and then he gets out of school before you, and they're home, so that they can put propaganda in them through the TV while you're not there. But you at work, working hard to make all this happen, under luxuries, big-ass screen TV. For what? They're teaching them nonsense. They're on these smartphones. Dumb people on smartphones. You're reliant, trick people on smartphones. Reliant on a system of white supremacy that's designed to keep us a permanent underclass, that is hostile to our environment, that undermines everything progressive about us, especially nationalists. That everyone else enjoy, every other ethnic group come in here. They enjoy their nationalism, that empowers them. But with us, it's put the FBI against us, put the CIA against us. That's happening to my mother right now in the Avalon. She's being politically displaced, mainly because of my political activism and my strength. And they say, oh, well, brother, there are thousands of members of the Nation of Islam. The other members ain't being politically ostracized, ain't being undermined like that. Well, that speaks volumes. Anybody that stand up for our people is undermined. Well, if there are few that you don't see, that they're not spoken about, but not the bulk. Many of us that face this obstacle, we're told, just be compliant. Go along to get along. Go do your job. Matter of fact, put in overtime and get paid less. Now you at the job, working all these hours, taking all your energy, giving it towards enriching a corporation, and your children neglected. Now you got to pay for an abortion, which they still gonna let you do. They're not gonna stop them abortions. Some of y'all gonna get them. They want white babies preserved. They want the white race to increase in numbers, because their numbers have long been dwindling. I mentioned this a few lives ago, before this Roe versus Wade overturn came. I mentioned this, that the numbers are dwindling. And they are protecting their race, and they're preparing for the future. They're preparing for a race war. Non-military government agencies are arming themselves with submachine guns and all this ammunition. Why? It's for us. But we're so naive. We trust the system that's designed to keep us a permanent underclass and keep us colonized. And we don't even call it colonization. We want critical race theory. Give it to me, critical race theory. We want these things. They're tricks and ploys, and it's sad. It's an uphill battle. So now all the earnings you got, not only are they gone, you're in debt, and you're still in bad health, and you still don't like what you see in the mirror, the image you see in the mirror, because you trusted a caveman to give you this image. He made us in his image as a caveman that produced a nigger and a Negro. Nigger and Negro is produced, it exists nowhere else on the planet. Just like we have blues, just like we have soul music. This is specifically us. It's a specific experience. Why does it have to be addressed to us? And our restoration resource centers have to be dedicated towards developing healthy self-images in us. And it can't be Caucasian psychotherapy. It can't be European ways. It can't be Caucasian ways. It's got to be our natural, holistic way. We can do it. We can form our own restoration resource center. I'm reluctant to put it in Hempstead. I'm reluctant. I have to put it in Uniondale. Because Hempstead, they tear down the whole downtown, and that village board is just deceiving us. They deny it. They say, oh no, we're not displacing all. They deny everything. Their whole plan is for those developers to commandeer that board to get them to do whatever their bidding is. And that's to make Hempstead a college yuppie city. That's not for us. It'll be a few select members of that sellout board and their friends still in the mix. They're still in the downtown. But our survivors will be over on the hills back towards Malloy, and we'll be over on the heights and sprinkled a little about there. They've already displaced thousands. We can't trust him. We got to trust in ourselves and Allah to produce for ourselves. You know? When we employ our women, we give them a comfortable place to work, where they're not sexually harassed. Some of us brothers, when we get our company, the first thing we do is we sexually harassing them. Most of us do things, what are our motives? It's for validation. And a lot of time we as men, we get jilted by women. We go out to the women, and a lot of we want revenge for that. We go and we take it out on them. Or now I'll get money, you'll be attracted to me, not attracted to me, but you'll be under my power. If I'm your boss, then I get to take out my revenge on you. I was jilted by an attractive woman, and I hear you are an attractive woman coming in here, I'm going to treat you like a sexual object. A lot of women, most women in America, it's a ritual, it's a rite of passage. They get attracted because you're not in a controlled environment. You're not separated. It's just a free-for-all. You can have free access to anybody. Do anything you want, do what you please in America. That's a vice. That's immoral. So a woman naturally likes an alpha male, likes an attractive male, a strong man, the one that all the women admire. Oh, look at him, he's fine, or he's athletic. And a woman gets attracted to them. And a man in that position that's not cultivated on how to respect women, how to only approach a woman that you are genuinely interested in for a long-term relationship. We in that sad dynamic. Where a man tricks a woman with the bait of a long-term relationship. I'll be by your side. You can call me your own. But his aim is sex. And once the sex is gone, he's gone. Then you get the abortion. And the woman who's interested in the man, look at that attractive man. I want him, and you're bragging about your girls about him. You use the bait of sex. You can have sex with me because you believe you get in a long-term relationship. And both of them are failed because you have ulterior motives. This is you on meeting the father, you on meeting the family. This was the power of the extended family for us. Excuse me. Our natures have been turned against us because we're not rooted in mind, body, and soul. Our souls are not connected to the ground. When we wake up, we don't give gratitude for Allah for getting us up. For the most part. Some of us do, But we got to be taught. It's got to be trained. That woman that gets jilted, that gets tricked, she's mainly tricked. You shouldn't even be running after no boy. He shouldn't have access to you. He should go through your father. But where's the fathers? We are playing this game. The battle of sexes. Revenge on each other. So now the girl, she liked the guy, and he tricked her for sex, and then he never speak to her again. So now she's hurt. She says, well, he hurt me. So now you're walking around for validation. Give me more validation because you're not rooted. So where do you seek validation and attention? That's virtue, weak energy, attention. Printing money and getting people to expend their energy towards that money is strong force energy. That is power. Weak power force is virtual. Social media, the lights and stuff. That's virtual. Weak power force. Strong power force is print money to get people running after money. That's why you love money. Remember the Players Club? Ice Cube, Bernie Mac and them? Remember our sister Lisa Ray? She played the stripper. And it was a brother who played the recent Malcolm X and Godfather of Harlem. He played Malcolm X. He did a good role, too. And he was in the strip club, and they saw her in the strip club. And then, what do you do in the strip club? Oh, it's for cash. It's to get me. It's a stepping stone. It's a step ladder to get me where I need to be. Most of that is a dead end for sisters. You lose your inhibitions. You lose your innocence. You lose your virtue. And you become hot and loose. Yeah. So Lisa plays a character that was in the strip club, and then, so she used the money to go to school, to college. And when she's in the college, one of the brother that played Malcolm X in Godfather of Harlem, Forrest Whitaker, he had a whole bunch of dollar bills in his hand in near the bursar's office somewhere. They was in line doing something, and he recognized her. He said, oh, that's the girl from the strip club. And all the dudes were mocking her, humiliating her. because she lowered her standard by losing her inhibitions and being sexually objectified for money. Her soul is for sale. Most of your souls are for sale because you don't have the spirit to get up and do something for yourself. So what did he do? He took a handful of dollars. What did he do? Rain in dollars. He started humiliating her in the college. She thought she was going to college to dignify herself, to elevate herself. Which she was, but the closet baggage she had to carry was she's doing stripping. And this is back in the 90s. They're more proud now on OnlyFans. Why they paying them so much money? To corrupt you. To make your soul still merchandisable, saleable, commodity. To commoditize your soul. And he flipped her the dollars. Look at her. Here, go do that strip dance. Humiliating her. We humiliate each other. They have the saying, hurt people hurt people. When a woman looks up to men, a girl's father is the first trust, right? She looks up to us, daddy, daddy, daddy. When you turn on her and you don't protect her, you fighting with her mother. You're silly, not getting counsel, not getting conflict resolution, not coming to an organized system to remedy these conflicts we have and take it out on the child. You unprotect. It's natural for you to do that now when you're in this conflict and you're weak. You take it out on those weakest around you. Your baby. All right. May Allah continue to keep us and bless us. I'll leave you as I greeted you in the ancient Arabic words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace unto you. Have a blessed and graced day. And look forward to part 2. Peace and love.